The former South African president, Jacob Zuma, appeared in court earlier today to face corruption charges, 16 of them, and they all relate to a $2.5 billion arms deal. Mr. Zuma later told a crowd outside the court that he would be proven innocent in this long-running case that resurfaced after his fall from power. Now, the 75-year-old, whose scandal-plagued 9 years in office were marked by economic stagnation and credit downgrades, faces 16 charges, and they cover everything from fraud to racketeering and money laundering. In a procedural appearance that lasted less than 15 minutes, state prosecutors and Mr. Zuma's lawyers asked the High Court in Durban to adjourn the case until the 8th of June so that both sides could prepare their submissions.
It is now clear to me that those in the judiciary and politics, despite everyone having their own individual rights, they somehow think that I don't have the same rights. Actually, those who want this to continue, maybe they will one day wish it never happened, because the extreme lies in comparison to the truth will be evident.
All allegations, it doesn't matter who says what. We are all innocent in a court of law before proven somehow. But however, as we know, in South Africa, he's already been given the sentence of his guilty, irregardless.
Someone is not guilty based on what people think. It has to be proven in court. So we are here to support him for his court appearance.
All right then, so we're going to dig into this story in a little more detail. So prepare for a bit of history here. Angela Coppola joins us now live from Johannesburg with more data on the story. So Angela, walk us through the 2005 case, really, that had Mr. Zuma's former financial advisor jailed on, I believe it was 3 counts of corruption and embezzlement or something like that. What happened there?
Well, in his judgment, Judge Hilary Squires painted a picture of a mutually beneficial symbiosis, as he put it, between Zuma and Sheikh. That's his financial advisor, of course. And perhaps the most controversial document produced during that court case by the state was a fax apparently setting out a bribe agreement between Sheikh, Zuma and Alain Tedat, who was working for Tails at the time, regarding a meeting that happened in March 2000, where around $154,000 of payment or bribe was promised to Zuma. The handwritten fax and a disc with a typed copy were handed to the Scorpions by Tedat's former secretary. Her evidence was backed up by a forensic computer expert and a handwriting expert. Naturally, of course, Sheikh's lawyers attempted to discredit that entire letter and the fax and all the rest of it, but they were unsuccessful at the time, as it turned out. And of course, those other corruption and fraud charges also came back and he was prosecuted for them. But the fax and the so-called Eiffel Tower code word are the key things that stuck in my mind, and they are seen as the linchpin in that case that saw Shabir Sheikh go to jail. Raman?
Indeed, and among the other things, because it was a fascinating judgment to actually read from Judge Hilary Squires, he said there was overwhelming evidence of a corrupt relationship between these two gentlemen. Now, last October, Mr. Sheikh also said he'd be willing to testify if called upon to do so. That being the case, given what we know so far, should we expect anything new, anything earth-shattering?
Well, there are hundreds of witnesses that will be brought back to testify against and for Mr. Zuma. The witness list is now in the public domain, unfortunately, some would say. The MPA, that's the National Prosecuting Authority, are suggesting that it's not a good thing, because that might mean that the actual witnesses become potential targets. Some witnesses may remember things differently so many years later, but the evidence won't be different. And that evidence includes forensic accounting proof of dodgy transactions between Zuma, Sheikh and various other parties. The KPMG report is a key piece of evidence, and it's something that Zuma's lawyers attempted to discredit just last year again. And of course they were unsuccessful there, as it turns out, as well. So new evidence, probably not. Different memories, possibly. New witnesses, not that we're aware of. Rama?
Indeed. So the French arms company involved in this deal, Tails now, it's also facing charges, as I understand it. So given the 2005 conviction against Mr. Sheikh, is a case against the arms company also reasonably strong?
It appears that it is a fairly strong case. The question is who's going to stand in the dock with Mr. Zuma on those charges. That infamous bribe offer in that encrypted fax and letter are seen at that, as I said, the key evidence along with that Eiffel Tower code word that was given to Zuma and described in very clear detail whether he would accept the bribe or not. He would use the word Eiffel Tower, and then the bribe would be paid to him on an annual basis. There are also new allegations now that emerged, in fact, in February during a NGO gathering where various other parties involved in, for example, the lawyer who helped produce the evidence that implicated President Zuma has now made fresh allegations that during that arms deal, South African head of arms procurement, one Chippy Sheikh, yes, he's the brother of Shabir Sheikh, was paid around $1 million by Tails boss Pierre Moyenot. So we now wait to see if that kind of allegation will be tested in the Zuma case, because then it does provide evidence that there was corrupt activity throughout that arms deal. Rahman?
Indeed. Should be an interesting case to follow. We'll see how this plays out. Thank you for the update. That's Angela Cooper there, live in Johannesburg.